Have you ever been judged solely based on your appearance? Imagine dedicating your life to saving others, only to be treated like a criminal because of your skin color. In this video, we'll witness a jarring encounter between a respected black surgeon and a police officer. The incident reveals deep-seated biases and challenges our perceptions of justice and equality. As the story unfolds, we'll explore the complex interplay of assumptions and privilege that continue to shape experiences in America today. As we reflect on this real-life story, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell for more daily stories that need to be heard. Hit that subscribe button and let us know where you're watching from in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Dr. James Carter's day begins before sunrise, navigating the quiet hallways of Metropolitan General Hospital. As chief surgeon, he carries the weight of countless lives on his shoulders, a responsibility he's embraced for over 2 decades. Dr. Carter's expertise in the operating room shines as he performs intricate procedures with steady hands and laser focus. Yet beneath the surface, subtle tensions simmer. A nurse hesitates before handing him an instrument, and an anesthesiologist double-checks his dosage calculations. These microaggressions extend beyond the OR, where patients eye him warily or request to speak with the head surgeon instead. These encounters aren't isolated incidents. Studies have shown that black healthcare professionals face disproportionate levels of doubt and scrutiny. Dr. Carter is acutely aware of this reality, having navigated it throughout his career. He approaches each interaction with patience and professionalism, refusing to let prejudice compromise the quality of care he provides. As evening approaches, Dr. Carter completes his final rounds. He exchanges brief, cordial nods with colleagues, acutely aware of the invisible barriers that persist despite his position and accomplishments. In the locker room, he changes out of his scrubs, his shoulders sagging slightly as he sheds the armor of his professional persona. Stepping into the cool night air, Dr. Carter lets out a long exhale. The drive home beckons, a rare moment of solitude after the intensity of the hospital. As he slides into his car, he focuses on the lives he's touched and the difference he's made. Unbeknownst to him, his evening commute is about to take an unexpected turn, one that will bring the pervasive nature of racial profiling into sharp focus. The wail of a siren shatters Dr. Carter's quiet contemplation. In the next few minutes, he'll face a situation that no amount of surgical skill can prepare him for. As he pulls over to the side of the road, his heart races. The flashing lights illuminate his rearview mirror, casting an eerie glow across his face. Dr. Carter takes a deep breath, reminding himself to remain calm and composed. The officer approaches, his hand resting on his holstered weapon. "License and registration," he demands without greeting. Dr. Carter complies, his movements slow and deliberate. As he hands over his documents, the officer's demeanor shifts, suspicion evident in his gaze. "This your car, sir?" the officer asks, his tone dripping with skepticism. Dr. Carter nods, explaining that he's owned the vehicle for several years. The officer's questions become increasingly invasive. "Where are you coming from? Any drugs or weapons in the vehicle?" Dr. Carter answers each question calmly, but he can feel his frustration building. He's acutely aware of the statistics running through his mind, the disproportionate rates at which black drivers face these situations. As the officer continues his interrogation, Dr. Carter realizes he's becoming another data point in this ongoing narrative of racial profiling. The tension in the air is palpable as the officer demands to search the vehicle. Dr. Carter, knowing his rights, politely declines. This seems to agitate the officer further, and his demeanor becomes more aggressive. "Step out of the car, sir," he commands, his hand firmly gripping his weapon. As Dr. Carter carefully exits the vehicle, he can't help but think about the countless other black professionals who have faced similar situations. The irony isn't lost on him. Just hours ago, he was saving lives in the operating room, and now he's being treated like a criminal on the side of the road. Finally, as the officer continues to press him, Dr. Carter decides to reveal his identity. "Officer," he begins, his voice steady despite the turmoil, I'm Dr. James Carter, Chief Surgeon at Metropolitan General Hospital. I'm on my way home after performing 3 life-saving surgeries today. The effect is immediate. The officer's posture shifts from aggressive to uncertain. He stammers out an apology, suddenly all too aware of his own biased assumptions. As he hastily retreats to his patrol car, Dr. Carter is left standing on the roadside, a mix of relief and lingering frustration washing over him. As the police cruiser pulls away, Dr. Carter remains motionless for a moment. The encounter has left him shaken, not just by the blatant display of prejudice, but by the stark reminder of how quickly his professional status can be stripped away by the color of his skin. He climbs back into his car, his mind already racing with thoughts of how to address this systemic issue for his entire community. Dr. Carter sat in his parked car, hands trembling slightly on the steering wheel. The police cruiser's lights had faded, but the weight of the encounter lingered. He closed his eyes, allowing suppressed emotions to surface. Memories flooded his mind. Skeptical glances from patients, subtle exclusion from colleague gatherings, the constant need to prove his worth despite impressive credentials. Each instance, though small, had accumulated over the years into a heavy burden. Anger surged within him. The injustice threatened to overwhelm him. Yet even in this private moment, he found himself tempering his emotions, a habit born from years of navigating a world that often viewed his natural reactions with suspicion. The psychological toll was immense. Dr. Carter recognized the symptoms of racial battle fatigue, the chronic stress experienced by Black professionals due to ongoing discrimination and microaggressions. It exacted a price on his mental and physical well-being. As he sat there, Dr. Carter felt the familiar tightness in his chest, the tension in his shoulders. He thought about countless other Black professionals facing similar challenges, many without the shield of his prestigious title. How many promising careers had been derailed under the relentless pressure of systemic racism? Yet even as dark thoughts swirled, a spark of determination ignited within him. He had overcome too much to let this incident defeat him. Instead, he considered how to channel this experience into meaningful change. His mind raced with possibilities. Perhaps it was time to push for a more comprehensive diversity and inclusion program at the hospital. He could use his position as chief surgeon to advocate for better training and to create spaces for dialogue about racial bias in healthcare. As Dr. Carter started his car, his resolve strengthened. Tomorrow he would approach the hospital board with a proposal for a new initiative addressing systemic biases affecting staff and patient care. The road ahead would not be easy. He knew he would face resistance and skepticism, but as he drove home, the weight on his shoulders felt a little lighter. He had found a way forward, a means to fight back against injustice. And in that moment, despite the lingering pain, Dr. Carter felt a glimmer of hope for the future. The hospital boardroom fell silent as Dr. Carter cleared his throat. He was about to propose something unprecedented, something that would force every person in that room to confront an uncomfortable truth. Little did they know, his words would set in motion a revolution in patient care. Dr. Carter stood before the hospital board, his posture straight and his gaze unwavering. He recounted his recent experiences, from the microaggressions at work to the harrowing traffic stop. As he spoke, he could see the expressions on the board members' faces shift from polite interest to shock and discomfort. With a deep breath, Dr. Carter unveiled his proposal, a comprehensive racial sensitivity training program for all hospital staff. The room tensed as he outlined the components of his initiative. Interactive workshops would challenge implicit biases, while patient testimonials would bring real-world impact to the forefront. Ongoing assessments would measure the effectiveness of the training, ensuring continuous improvement. As Dr. Carter finished his presentation, a tense silence filled the room. Then the questions began. Some board members expressed skepticism, questioning the necessity of such a program. "We're all professionals here," one argued. "Surely we don't need sensitivity training." Others raised concerns about cost and time constraints. Dr. Carter had anticipated this resistance. He calmly presented research showing that hospitals implementing similar programs saw a 20% increase in patient satisfaction scores related to perceived respect and understanding. He shared a case study from the University of California, San Francisco, where a racial bias training program resulted in a 30% reduction in reported incidents of racial bias among healthcare providers within 1 year. As the board deliberated, Dr. Carter could feel the momentum shifting. The data was compelling, but it was his personal story that seemed to resonate most deeply. He watched as even the most skeptical board members began to nod in understanding. After what felt like an eternity, the board reached a decision. To Dr. Carter's relief and satisfaction, his initiative was approved with widespread support. The chair of the board stood up, shaking Dr. Carter's hand firmly. "This is long overdue," she admitted. "Thank you for having the courage to bring this to our attention." In the weeks that followed, Dr. Carter worked tirelessly to implement the program. He engaged hospital leadership in the training process, understanding that their participation was crucial for success. Clear goals were established, and ongoing support and resources were provided for staff. As the initiative took root, changes began to ripple through the hospital culture. Conversations about race and bias, once avoided, became more open and constructive. Staff members reported feeling more aware of their own biases and better equipped to provide equitable care. Dr. Carter knew this was just the beginning. The struggle against racial bias was ongoing, but for the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of real progress. As he walked through the hospital corridors, he could sense a subtle but significant shift in the atmosphere. It wasn't just about changing policies, it was about changing hearts and minds. And in that moment, Dr. Carter knew that his painful experiences had led to something truly transformative. Dr. Carter's initiative sparked a transformation that extended far beyond the hospital walls. Staff members approached patient care with greater empathy and understanding, leading to improved patient satisfaction scores. The positive impact rippled through families and the wider community, fostering meaningful conversations about racial equity in healthcare. As the initiative progressed, Dr. Carter observed his colleagues navigating difficult conversations with increasing skill and sensitivity. Though challenges persisted, each interaction brought new insights and opportunities for growth. The hospital's culture shifted, embracing a more inclusive and equitable approach to patient care. Dr. Carter's journey had evolved from a solitary mission to a collective effort. He witnessed the power of shared commitment as his colleagues worked together to address systemic biases. The progress made reinforced his belief in the potential for lasting change within the healthcare system. Looking ahead, Dr. Carter envisioned a future where equitable healthcare was the norm, not the exception. He recognized that the work would continue, requiring ongoing vigilance and dedication. With renewed determination, he committed to building on their achievements, knowing that each step forward brought them closer to a truly just and compassionate healthcare environment. Join our community of people who believe in justice, empathy, and powerful storytelling. By subscribing, you're not just watching, you're part of a movement that values real stories and change. Add us to your daily routine and make every story count. Subscribe and join us each day for stories that make an impact.